bring you home if it's the last thing I do!
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, what am I doing? I'm not dressed for the occasion. Oh my god, it's on my desk. Okay, perfect. Play my Naruto music, baby, because I am getting dressed for this one because we're talking about Broken Bond, and I normally do this off camera, so Locke, if you want to roll the ad right now, it'd be probably a good time. Give me a moment, please. This video is brought to you by Raycon. Huh? I'm sorry, what was that? You're really gonna interrupt me while I'm listening to my Final Fantasy IX soundtrack? Seriously, you're gonna do that? All right, look, I'll make this quick for you. Raycon is on a mission to prove that you shouldn't have to pay an arm and a leg for quality sound and essential smart tech listening features. It's a no BS product. And you know who's also not BS? Me, Maddie. Because look, I listen to music, but just game music. I'm not one of those people who's always listening to normal people music. So what I like to do is jam out with my Raycons and try to practice being an NPC in a video game. That's my favorite pastime. But thanks to Raycon, I'm paying half the price for the same, if not better, quality earbuds to do so. What I like about it most, noise isolation. I had no idea you were here until I was bothered in the middle again of my Final Fantasy IX ritual. 8 hours of playtime, even better for your everyday earbuds. So here's what you gotta do, okay? Click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/retrorebound to get 15% off your Raycon purchase. Thank you again to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. And now it's time to get back to my Final Fantasy IX ritual. This is normally the stuff done off camera, but I gotta look presentable to everyone. So I do my hair, I put on my costume, and bada bing, bada boom with the Oilers shirt on. Let's go. All right. So today we're talking about Naruto, the Broken Bond, a Ubisoft developed Naruto video game, the sequel to Rise of a Ninja. And I'm asking you one very important question that's absolutely charged from my experience as a middle schooler. Is this game really that bad? Is it? Now, when you go on Metacritic, you're going to look and see, oh, well, Maddie, I mean, it's got an 80. People seem to actually be quite favorable towards it. What are you talking about? Can you not read? What's wrong with you? Actually, I'm good. What I'm pulling from is personal experience and what I see on the internet sometimes, man. Because in personal experience, as I was a Rise of a Ninja guy, a Broken Bond guy, you know, loving on these games, I got clowned on, man, because I wasn't grinding Ultimate Ninja Storm. It's the better Naruto game, or so they say. And that's what it goes online. I don't see many demands for a Broken Bond 2 or a, I guess, third entry in Ubisoft's Naruto RPG series. No, I just see people asking for Ultimate Ninja 5, and I got a lot of Ultimate Ninja love here, but ladies and gentlemen, the love is strong for this kind of game. Pretty expensive too nowadays for a 360 game, so if you're interested in collecting, I'll show you what it comes with, but keep that in mind. Today, we're gonna talk about why Naruto the Broken Bond isn't that bad. It's just not talked about nearly enough. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, you're into nostalgic and retrospective content, you're in the right place with Maddie from the Retro Village. Let's do this thing, starting off with the complete inbox experience. And this is some raw cover art because you got OG Naruto, you got Curse Mark Sasuke, you know, you got the perfect scene here at the bottom. The name says it all, the Broken Bond. One of the fights of the ages. As a kid, this battle right here, still cemented in my head. And for Naruto's 20th anniversary, I believe it was, they remastered some of the scenes and they did parts of this fight. Chef's kiss, dude, just, oh, so good. So good. I love OG Naruto, probably more than Shippuden. I don't think that's a hot take, but anyway, let's get to the back of the box here. It says, relive the rivalry through both their eyes. Play as Naruto, Sasuke, and others in an all-new action adventure, including Japanese voices. The Japanese voices was actually a big deal, so much so that when you start up, they ask you, do you want to switch to them? Now, I don't know about y'all, but I am an OG Naruto English voice stan. This is where I discovered Yuri Lowenthal, right? Like, that is my favorite voice actor of all time. Sasuke Uchiha is the ultimate edgy anime boy. I think he's responsible for me liking edgy characters. Like, this dude is my dude. Shout out to Yuri Lowenthal. Like, I cannot enjoy Naruto without them English voices. But Japanese is available in this one, which it wasn't in Rise of a Ninja. It says, step into Sasuke's shoes, witness Sasuke's quest firsthand, epic battles, fight with the help of your sidekicks, and play online with over 30 characters. So pretty simple back of the box. On the inside here, get another view of the bottom part of the cover art. And then you've got the manual, just the manual here. I remember I picked up a copy of this for my friend for 15 bucks at GameStop. It was beautiful condition, but otherwise I paid about 40 bucks for this one. I think it's only gone up since then because it's just, as you saw here, only for the Xbox 360. So it's an exclusive, and I wish that somehow Ubisoft could port these and get them out to more systems because I appreciate them so much. But here we have the manual, and yeah, black and white, but that's okay. Not everything is defined by the illustrations or lack thereof. I think sometimes there's cool bits of information inside here. What I like here is every little character gets their own breakdown, their own bio, some of their special moves and what they do, who are Naruto's foes. You can see that here with Orochimaru, Kabuto, my personal favorite, and Itachi with his Tsukiyomi. And then continuing on here, the UI breakdown as you've seen before, the character sheet, because this does have role-playing game elements. There's a quest log. I'll get into why this game really jived with me with a Naruto throwback that some of you, I hope a decent amount of you, will really appreciate. They go through some of the shops, the dojos, where you can learn new combos, the map, because this is a much more open-ended game. The controls and how fighting in this game works, because the combo system, I wouldn't say is as smooth as Ultimate Ninja Storm, right? Ultimate Ninja Storm thrives on presentation. I would say that where Broken Bond thrives is on interaction and more intimate moments with the characters. Both have their strengths, both work, I think, for Naruto fans no matter what, but it depends on your preference, what you're gonna jive with a little bit more. So the fighting in this game is great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be silky smooth, and I would argue in some ways a smidge more repetitive than what you get in Ultimate Ninja Storm. There's fight mode, which is your versus mode, the Xbox Live online play. I remember when I first got this game, I went into online play and just got smoked. And then everyone has their own little combo breakdown. After covering this game, where there is no combo guide, you can check that video out if you're interested. I appreciate things like this where every character has a little breakdown of their movesets and what they can do with their respective jutsus, because the way you can call in jutsus in this game is just like you did in Rise of a Ninja, where you hold the trigger and do different little thumbstick movements. And that I love personally because it feels like you're doing all the hand symbols. And I always tried to memorize them when I was younger, which I talked about in our Rise of a Ninja video. But anyway, to the back of the manual with the notes section and then a Shaun White snowboarding promotion. But that is what you get in a complete in-box copy of Naruto: The Broken Bond. So I mentioned an older Naruto game that I really jived with, that Broken Bond reminds me of. And ladies and gentlemen, we will do a dedicated video on it. But Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles is the game I'm thinking of. For those who don't know what Naruto Uzumaki Chronicles is, it's a sort of adventure-style beat-em-up video game, obviously set in the Naruto universe, where you walk around different points of a map, and you complete missions as Naruto. Sometimes you get help from other friends, and it's a little more RPG driven as you equip different skills. It reminds me of Kingdom Hearts in that way, the way you have like AP and like a currency that's pretty much spent on equipping skills or jutsus and how you upgrade them, your attack damage, your HP, all this stuff. So there's a little bit of character management that's pretty deep in my opinion, but then there's also the possibility that you can fail some of these missions. And when you fail these missions, you get different outcomes. Like speaking of Kabuto, there's a mission with him where you have to hunt him down and you can lose the boss fight and it changes outcomes throughout the story. So whenever I play Broken Bond or Rise of a Ninja, I do think of the Uzumaki Chronicles series, because why I connected with that so much as a kid, more than, funny enough, like the Ultimate Ninja series on PS2, was because of the interactive nature, the stories that were told there, and also the way they managed to have, I think, really good action RPG combat while still telling fun, interesting, unique stories. Now, for some who aren't super into Naruto, which I'm not going to act like the #1 Naruto fan, but growing up, this was my favorite thing. But growing up, Naruto, like any extra stories were good to me. But I have to say that I imagine some will find it as padding. And that's where Broken Bond stumbles a little bit. There are moments in the game where it feels like it's padding itself out, especially when you're navigating these very intricate levels that are designed well, but if you're trying to double back to find maybe some collectibles or something, can be a little confusing. But it definitely will fatten up the experience, like when you're with Jiraiya and you're looking for stuff for his date and you gotta keep going back out again and again and again to find all these items. And it's intentionally designed that way, and I get why it is, but it can feel a little bit repetitive for some, especially when the combat settles into a groove of doing killer combos. But where this game thrives compared to Rise of a Ninja for me is that you can play as different characters. Now, the back of the box mentions that you get to play as Sasuke and see the quest through his eyes, which is awesome, by the way, a big selling point of the game. But as you're going around as Naruto, like for example, you'll explore as Shikamaru, which is great. And what's more important is it's not just a character you fight as, but every character has their own interaction with the environment. So, for example, Shikamaru is known for his shadow possession jutsu, right? And when he does the shadow possession jutsu, you'll go underneath buildings and control the shadow and try to navigate different objects to maybe unlock a chest or something like that. To me, that's the stuff that gets me a little giddy. It's gimmicky as hell, and I understand why folks are going, oh, what's the big deal? But to me, getting to play as these characters is awesome because they're usually side pieces in the show. Even if they have their big moments throughout Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, they're still pieces of the puzzle. And the main focus is always on Naruto. And I'm personally not tired of him, but it's cool to get others involved in meaningful ways and to play as them. That's where these video games that retell these stories we've already seen before thrive for me. It's like, yeah, I know the story leading up to Naruto and Sasuke's big fight, but what about everyone else? How do we get them involved in meaningful, interesting ways? And I think that's where Broken Bond, where Rise of a Ninja really thrive. But Broken Bond is literally Rise of a Ninja on steroids. Like, it just goes crazy, man. Like, you get more characters to play as, more areas to explore. And I'd say if there's one thing that stood out to me that didn't age the best, the visuals look good. Like, the art style choice was great. The game looks pretty, but it's the facial animations that are so awkward and stiff that it's funny because it's a newer game in the scheme of things, but it reminds me a lot of Mass Effect Andromeda, where just very, very stiff facial animations, where the voice work in Naruto, especially in English, I think is powerful, is really good. And especially in this game, like, you'll have Sasuke screaming, but his face will just be like a little robot, just like that. It's just, oh man, it reminds me of Andromeda, right? I said, but it also reminds me of that old time in video games where we didn't have good facial motion capture to make these characters a little bit more human. So that's where there is a bit of a pitfall here, personally. But that sense of openness breeds exploration. And when you have that interaction with all of these characters, it makes the exploration, I think, more interesting. Now, there are little side quests you can do, but in Rise of a Ninja, you were mostly tied to the Hidden Leaf Village. In this game, you're gonna go to all various types of hubs and find new upgrades, new moves, new jutsus, new collectibles, new quests to complete. And again, that's why it really works for me. Again, that continuously biting onto the exploration. And if you want more of this universe, it gives you plenty of that. What I look at it as, you have Naruto Broken Bond, which I define as the documentary. Like, what? But then I look at Ultimate Ninja Storm, and to me, that's the highlight reel. You get what I'm saying? Like, the Ninja Storm games, here are all the big fights captured the way you remember them, in some ways even better. Don't you love it? And then you get something like Broken Bond, which is the piece-by-piece intimate breakdown, the little stuff behind the scenes that you typically don't see. That's how I look at these two. Strong in their own ways, but man, do I love some Broken Bond. Now, what really turns this game up to 5,000 is when you get to Sasuke's quest, and you get to see things through his eyes. So there are obviously narrative gaps that usually the consumer is left to fill in the blanks by themselves based off the story told from one dimension. But what happens is this kind of turns the storytelling into more three-dimensional. So now you're covering both ends. Like, what was Sasuke up to while Naruto was over here? And again, based off the way the show and the manga went, you can kind of fill in those blanks. But what was the moment to moment there? And that's what this game kind of explores in Sasuke's quest, especially when it's, you know, the black outfit Sasuke. Just so cool. So just seeing things through Sasuke's eyes works really well for me, especially if I'm a Sasuke fanboy. Like, come on now, you already know that's gonna click with me really well. But what it also shines a light on, because you'll use this Chidori and you'll break through rock walls, is again, the exploration in this game is so rewarding and fun, because it's part 3D fighter, it's part 3D platformer, it's part 3D adventure game, it's part RPG. It just does so many different things. So as you complete all these quests and these objectives, you get these collectibles. What's going to eventually happen is you're going to get these little, I'm going to call them headband points, that you can spend on all sorts of things that you saw in the instruction manual. So you'll spend them on things like, we'll say, chakra, your attack damage, and so on and so forth. So it is just a light action RPG, but to me, when you have so many other elements working well together, it does, I think, come together where it doesn't have to go super hardcore on the RPG stuff, especially, again, if you have all these different characters and they're all playable and they all have their own special moves that you can use out in the open world. So it turns out to be a much longer experience, where Rise of a Ninja isn't too long, obviously depending on all of the open world stuff you're going to do, whereas something like Broken Bond, you can really chew on this one for a hot minute. It's definitely a bigger game compared to Rise of a Ninja, so you'll spend more time with it, and that means that each game ends up having their own strength. Like, some people are going to prefer Rise of a Ninja because they like just being in the Hidden Leaf Village, whereas Broken Bond just keeps pushing the boundaries further and further on where you can go in this game, and to me, it brings back those feels of Uzumaki Chronicles. Not the second one, by the way. I should have mentioned that earlier. The second Uzumaki Chronicles, I gotta go back and replay it to see if I dislike it as much as I did as a kid, because you play the first one and it feels like this is a beautiful start, and the second game comes out, I was like, what happened? It's like a 5-hour game and it's just all focused on combat. What happened to the RPG stuff and the choice and consequence and the missions? Like, that game must have been a mess, I guess, but I'll figure that out someday. Anyway, we're talking about Broken Bond, and I just wanted to share some love on this one. Is it that bad? No. Go pick this bad boy up if you're okay with like little janky 360 action RPGs. And if you're a Naruto fan, I think you'll find some enjoyment in this one. Is it perfect? No, and I hope I captured that well by addressing some of its flaws. But if you like these characters from the OG Naruto series, you want a more intimate look at some of their interactions, if you want a more intimate exploration-focused game with some decent combat, you can get that here. And especially, this is just taking, you know, that hand sign focused combat with the triggers, with the analog stick, upping the ante. I think it just does a good job on all fronts. So those are my thoughts on Naruto Broken Bond. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking forward to seeing yours down below. So please do fire away. And with that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.